What's going on, everyone? The New York Knicks have officially extended RJ Barrett to a 4-year, $120 million extension. And this is huge for many teams. The Jazz, the Knicks, and even the Lakers. And we're going to get into the Laker part in a moment. When it comes to the Knicks, based on the reports, Leon Rose gave a deadline of today to either get the Donovan Mitchell trade done or to go and extend RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett also got a poison pill contract. For those that don't know what that is, to quickly summarize, basically it's a backloaded contract. So the money towards the final years of the deal are a lot more balloon inflated than shorter term. And the reason that's bad is because future flexibility, you have to make the changes, adjustments, cap, stuff like that. It could turn out to be a good thing, but it also could be a really bad thing. And throughout the history of the NBA, Devin Harris is the only player that I could see that has ever been traded with a poison pill contract, and that was back in 2008. So the Knicks basically kind of made their decision. We're going to keep RJ Barrett. Now, this doesn't mean that the Knicks cannot trade for Donovan Mitchell. Of course they still can. But according to reports, Tibbs wanted to keep Grimes over RJ Barrett because Grimes plays better defense and shoots the ball better. And if you got Jalen Brunson and you have Donovan Mitchell, you have a very small backcourt that doesn't play a lot of defense. So you could use a defensive wing player, which RJ Barrett really isn't that guy. RJ Barrett is the youngest Knick to ever score 20-plus points a game average, but he's not known as a defender. He's not a guy that's really going to help in that regard. So you need two bigs down low that are basically just showstoppers, which becomes a real problem for the Knicks. Now, because of the poison pill contract that RJ Barrett got, this becomes a problem for the Jazz. Because do the Jazz really want to take on that contract of RJ Barrett now? You might be thinking, like, who cares? They're a rebuilding team. They have money, stuff like that. But who knows where you're at, year 2, year 3, year 4. What happens if you hit on a couple guys or a free agent wants to come or whatever, or you have an opportunity to make a trade and now you don't have the salary to do so because RJ Barrett just took up a third of your cap, stuff like that. That becomes a big problem because instead of the money being evened out over 4 years, the money is inflated on the back end. So year 3 and 4 could be disastrous for any team that has RJ Barrett. Unless RJ Barrett just becomes like this, top 5 guy in the league, then it doesn't matter. At that point, you don't really care about the contract. But that's, if we're being honest, likely not going to happen. So that means the Knicks have to find another solution and another way to trade for Donovan Mitchell. Likely that means Grimes is gone, Toppin, and then several draft picks. That is likely going to be the scenario and the case that does happen. But if the Jazz don't like those guys and they wanted Barrett, who was the guy that they were trying to acquire and that was in the most recent trade package, and Leon Rose just basically called the Jazz's bluff. They said, look, this is what we're willing to give you. Take it or don't. And the Jazz said, nah, we'll sit on it. And the Knicks said, okay, fine. And they decided to just say, now you can't get Barrett. There you go. Now it's over. Now it's done. Here's what's left. You want to go again? You want to prolong this again? Let's keep playing this game. And the Knicks are starting to get impatient. They're starting to call the Jazz's bluff. And that could become a real issue because if a trade doesn't get done, this is where the Lakers come in. That becomes a huge problem because now the Lakers don't really have many offers on the table anymore except for the Pacers deal. And now, if you're the Pacers, guess what? You're sitting here and you're going, well, you didn't want to give up both first-round picks. Well, guess what? We're the only team that can upgrade your roster now. So now it's both first or don't. Keep your guy. The Knicks don't want him anymore because they just extended Barrett and all that stuff. And what? You're going to take on all the bad contracts? You're going to take on Fournier and Randall's contract just to get off of Westbrook? Good luck, right? Oh, the Jazz. Well, the Jazz are keeping Mitchell now. So now you don't have the Jazz deal. Like now this just became a problem for the Lakers in the sense of like it may have just limited the options. Now again, the Knicks could still do the deal and all could be right in the world and Lakers are right back into the Jazz conversation. Or maybe the Jazz still want to trade those guys. That could be a possibility too. But all of the talk and reports and everything have been based on the Mitchell deal getting done, that the Lakers would be the third team in that deal. Even months ago when all this buzz and stuff first started, that was the whole thing. Lakers would be the third team in a potential trade, and they would kind of get all the leftovers. A Cam Reddish, a Bogdanovich, maybe a Beasley, stuff like that. That is the goal. But now, if this trade doesn't happen, that may just take the Jazz off the table. And if that takes the Jazz off the table, you are never going to do the Knicks deal to begin with. You don't want Julius Randle and his contract. You don't want Evan Fournier and his contract. You don't want Derrick Rose and his contract. At that point, you're keeping Russell Westbrook, and you're hoping that a Kyrie Irving comes next season. You're basically stuck with the team you have, unless you do the Pacers deal. But I just don't think the Pacers deal is worth both firsts. And I don't think you should give up both first in that Pacer deal. One, Buddy Hield, maybe he gets easier to trade next year, but if it doesn't work out with him, now you're kind of stuck. Miles Turner, can he get over that injury bug that he had, last year and even a little bit the year prior? Is that something that could happen? Does he walk next season? Or are you able to sign him to an extension? Stuff like that. Does he even agree to sign an extension? Because I would imagine the Lakers are going to want that clarification before they go and make that trade. It puts the Lakers in a pretty tough position now, because now the team, as the Pacers, are like, look, we're all you got left. First it was Kyrie. Kyrie left you. The Nets, you're done. And then it was the Jazz and the Knicks. Well, they weren't able to work it out. So guess what? Now you're done. So now it's just us. Do the Lakers end up pulling the trigger? Do the Lakers say, okay, fine, we'll give up both first, get a Miles Turner and Buddy Hield, which I do think Miles Turner and Buddy Hield is the best deal that the Lakers have on the table. I know some people feel otherwise, but I do. I just think that it provides everything that the Lakers need. Yeah, if you could work out a deal where you could get Beasley, Bogdanovich, and you could get Cam Reddish, I think that deal is the best deal on the table, because you get 3 wing players, which the Lakers desperately need, and 2 of them are very young that you could have around for the future and for the long haul. But in reality, are you really going to get all 3 of those? Probably not. The Jazz, it was either Beasley or Bogdanovich, and I think Bogdanovich is better currently for what the Lakers need than a Beasley. Beasley would be great as that other guy, and he's not as small, or he's not as big. So that's my concern too there. But if you could get a Reddish, Beasley, and Bogdanovich, then yeah, I think that's the best deal. But I don't know how you get that done in reality. Now, where you're talking the Pacers deal, I just think Buddy Hield and Miles Turner is better than a Bogdanovich and say a Cam Reddish. I think you could get Cam Reddish in a separate deal. I don't think it would take much to get rid of Cam Reddish, because Tibbs doesn't like Reddish and wants Reddish off the team, and they've tried to trade Reddish on several occasions. The Lakers had a deal lined up to acquire Reddish. So I think you could get Reddish regardless. So go get Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, and then try to figure out, move a couple seconds or something like that, and go get Cam Reddish. There you go. Now you ended up with Reddish. So, if you could end up with Buddy Hield, Miles Turner, and Reddish, I think that's a lot better than any deal that the Jazz could give independently. So I think however you shake it, Lakers are better off going after the Pacers deal. But now that all but guarantees you're giving up both first, which the Lakers might have not have had to do if the Jazz deal and the Knicks deal got done. Because now you could go to the Pacers and say, hey, we got the Jazz deal now. So you sure you still want both first? We really want Miles Turner and Buddy Hield, but we ain't giving you both first. We'd rather go over here and get these guys done. Either we're going to go do the Jazz deal, or you settle for a first and like a pick swap. We'll give you a pick swap because we're nice and we want to keep some relationship. Well, that just went out the window. So now the Lakers are in a tough spot and in a tough position, assuming this deal doesn't go through. Again, the Knicks and the Jazz deal could still easily get done. Could get done tomorrow, right? We could wake up, rise and shine, beautiful morning, see the deal official. RJ Barrett didn't need to be a part of the deal in order for the deal to get done. There's several options that the Knicks have in order to get that deal done, but it makes things a lot more complicated and a lot more confusing and a lot more interesting, and it kind of looks like the Knicks made their decision, at least as far as we're not going to give you what you want. You know, like we'll give you the deal that we want to give you. If you don't want it, don't take it, and then we're just going to move on. We already just signed RJ Barrett. So that becomes a problem. But anyway, as always, those are my thoughts and opinions, and so I pass the question on to you. Let me know yours down in the comment section below. What do you think? Do you think that this is really bad for the Lakers? Do you think like, no, it's no big deal. The deal could still get done, still works out? Do you have your concerns that like, hey, the Pacers, they come up and they're like, hey, you know, we got all the power. We got all the leverage now. Good luck. You know, again, that becomes a real problem. But do you think it cares? Do you think like, look, you were going to have to trade both first regardless, so why does it matter? You know, which the Lakers have been very hesitant to do that. I know a lot of people want them to just pull the trigger, but, you know, Lakers, I don't mind the Lakers being patient right now. You still got a lot of time to develop. Who knows what's going to happen between now and the next, 5 weeks or whatever it is before training camp. But I do think that this is a wrench that has been thrown in, and we'll see what develops. If the deal gets done still, then perfect. All is right in the world. But if it doesn't, this could make things very tricky for the Lakers. Very tricky. And that's a big concern. But anyway, love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.